Good evening. Sorry, I'm a little disorganized today. This is the regular joint meeting of the Oakley City Council acting as a successor agency to the Oakley Redevelopment Agency, Oakley Public Financing Authority. This meeting is called to order at 6:30 p.m. Roll call, Councilmember Fuller.
Here.
Councilmember Meadows.
Here.
Councilmember Williams.
Here.
Vice Mayor Henderson.
Here.
And I am Mayor Shaw, present. Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Oh, I said I'm present. I am present. Pledge of Allegiance led by Vice Mayor Henderson.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We are going to do a certificate of recognition to Jeannie Krieg for being inducted into the American Public Transportation Association's Hall of Fame. Jeannie, can you meet me at the front? And I'm going to ask Councilmember Williams to join us. All right, Jeannie Krieg, in recognition of your induction to the 2025 American Public Transportation Association's Hall of Fame, Jeannie is going to be honored in Boston at the APTA conference, but we wanted to show our appreciation here with the city of Oakley. Jeannie was recently a planning commissioner with us, but also 32 years at Tri-Delta Transit. And while I love Jeannie, Anissa actually got to work with her, so I'm going to turn it over to Anissa Williams.
Awesome. For those of you who aren't lucky enough to know Jeannie and her husband, they've both served Oakley for many, many years through the role at Tri-Delta Transit and all the other things that you all have contributed. And so we know how instrumental you've been in public transportation, especially getting, equal access in Oakley. So we really appreciate this. And there is no better inductee for this Hall of Fame. So can't wait to celebrate you in Boston.
Thank you. Well, it is a huge honor. It was a big surprise. I had no idea I was being nominated, let alone selected. So the whole thing is, I'm still on cloud nine about the whole thing. I can't even believe it. For those of you who aren't in the transportation industry, it is a big deal. It's quite an honor, and I'm really excited, ecstatic, and over the moon over the whole thing. Could have never done it without the support of my wonderful board members, the great staff members, and most importantly, my family. My kids and my husband have supported me through that whole 32 years of all the crazy things we've done, and so thank you very much. Thank you for this. This is very nice.
And if we can get the council as well as your husband up, we can get a photo.
Thank you.
Can't wait to celebrate with you.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Joe.
All right. Item 1.4 is a presentation on Snug as a Bug Bags and Oakley Fiber Arts class collaboration. Allison Norris, Snug as a Bug Bags founder, and Donna Baker, Oakley Recreation Fiber Arts instructor. And I believe we have a video.
Heartbeats only happen one at a time, one at a time. You can't rush a moment, so don't even try, don't even try.
Yes, please come up. Thank you.
Hello, dear Mayor and Council members. It is an honor to speak to you tonight. My name is Allison Norris. I am an Antioch resident and founded Snug as a Bug Bags in January 2020. Our team sews quilts and includes them in duffel bags with comfort items and given to kids and teens in distress, to social service agencies, hospitals, schools, and police departments, both here around California and even across the Atlantic to our kids on Army air bases in Germany. Our second big community project is making 500 quilts and blankets for veterans in need for Stand Down on the Delta 2025, collaborating with many organizations and communities in the GFWC Mount Diablo District of Women's Clubs. With the introduction made by St. Anthony's Church and Sue Higgins, I met with Chief Beard and presented both projects. Within the week, he connected me to Jerry in your recreation department, Studio 55, and its leader, Donna Baker. We've already made 25 blankets, received a $1,000 donation from the Elderly Wish Foundation for more fleece, and have begun sewing quilts for the bags going to the Oakley Police Department. Most importantly, we are engaging seniors in service and giving them the opportunity to be seen as the active, engaging, and creative people that they are. Thank you again for warmly welcoming me and Snug as a Bug Bags to your city.
Hi there. I started Oakley Fiber Arts as the very first class that was offered at Oakley Senior Center about 12 years ago as a place for everybody who wanted a creative space to work and to learn new skills. Some of the original members are still in attendance weekly. Currently, we have newer members who have all become part of what I call the sisterhood, which is way beyond a class. We share our lives and serve as a support system for each other. My goal remains the same, which is to provide, regardless of income, seniors access to donated supplies for a wide variety of projects from quilting, sewing clothes, knitting, crochet, and crafts. Over the years, we have made items for charities, raffles, helped with fundraisers, and special projects. The group did not even hesitate to accept the call for Stand Down and for the Oakley Police Department. The only concern we have is lack of storage and 6-foot tables at the studio, as we use every one of them, plus some of the round tables. We always are welcome to have you come and join us by just stopping by the studio from 10 to 2 on Wednesdays. Thank you. Donna Baker, I'm the Oakley Seniors President.
Here's a blanket made at Studio 55.
To make it fun, which you didn't see in the video, is I timed the girls after they learned how to do 2 or 3 of them. We timed them, and we made one of these in 11.3 seconds. And we're determined to, right now, we're 300 and,
We've passed 400.
okay, we've passed 400. That was the original goal, now we're hitting 500. Oops,
Yeah, that's.
that would be nice, huh?
Yeah.
Whoops, oh, you're going all the way around, I was flipping it. There you go. So we have blankets for every military branch, right?
And then I'm also sewing quilts, as are some of the women, with patriotic fabric and military as well.
The bag?
I
Where's the
did
bag?
not bring a
Oh.
spec bag. I thought that'll be for next time,
Okay, fine.
when we get more done.
Thank you both very much. Is there any questions for our presenters? I wanted to say that style blanket is the first blanket I convinced my kids to make, and then they thought they could make anything, and they tried to make their clothes, which didn't work out. But you've inspired me to bring this to my seniors at my day job and have them start making these as well. So if you are looking for additional donations, please reach out.
We are.
All right, we are going to move to item 2, which is public comments. At this time, public comments will be heard for items not on the agenda. I do have public speaker cards submitted as well as an online speaker submitted. If you'd like to speak, please complete a blue speaker card located in the lobby and submit it to the city clerk. The time limit to speak is 3 minutes. The time limit is monitored by the timer located in front of the mayor's seat. When 1 minute remains on the timer, it will beep once as a reminder to complete comments before your time expires. Please refrain from any applause, cheering, booing, or other outbursts so that everyone may have an opportunity to be heard. Note that due to provisions of state law, the council may not engage in dialogue regarding comments. Staff may be directed to respond to persons making public comments. We did receive 2 online comments. One indicated they did not wish to speak, and the other indicated they did. Is Armando David Lopez here? All right, we will move on to the blue cards. Bud Chaddock.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. I'd like to thank you for bringing DeSalner to town and throwing that event together. Also, Tom Torlickson was there. That was a plus for me because he ended up doing a lot of work on our environment when we dug out some water out of a canal that was dumping selenium in our water in the San Joaquin, and they said it was okay. And we brought fish out with tumors and told them to drink their own water. So anyways, he was there, so I thanked him for his service that way to, various organizations that way. I also want to thank the city for embracing us on some of the ideas that we have and also giving us a support. So we did put like a letter forward to Fish and Wildlife for a grant. We also hoping to get that. It's going to include Delta's classroom aquariums where you raise steelhead and salmon. It also is going to help with environmental things such as, the problems you're having with like sturgeon and, even now to go trout fishing, you can't fish, but in the evening now in certain lakes and reservoirs and whatnot because it stresses the fish out. They die after they're hooked because everything's warm. The water's warm, the air's warm. Things have changed. Other states are following this, like Montana and Utah now in some areas. So it's basically you fish at night or you don't fish, or towards evening, or very early, not in the middle of the day. So these are things that we also look at. We've been doing. I've been involved with UC Davis. We did a little bit of water work today. Also. Some more sampling and whatnot. That was kind of good. There's also a diversion of water towards Dutch Slough area right now. I guess they're building something there. But anyways, we appreciate the help in that, and we look forward to being collaborative with other areas like Walnut Creek. Maybe again, I got Chuck Hansen got a hold of me the other day. Said Walnut Creek might be interested in this. And he, I've been thanked by a lot of people up and down the coast on the salmon thing right now. I know that. Ray Troll, who made the shirt I'm wearing, He's very much into that kind of thing, and he's sending me some stickers to give out and whatnot when we do table again, and when we're allowed to table at different areas. So as far as Sierra Club, Contra Costa Water District, Contra Costa, our Marsh Creek Watershed Council, and California Striped Bass, we've been going up to the state capitol and also talking. And there's another one, the 26th, to go to. Thank you.
Thank you. Susan Morgan and Jean-Marc Petit.
Thank you. I'm Susan Morgan, resident of Oakley, and I serve on the Iron House Sanitary District for 11 years now. Most of you know I'm leaving. I'm moving out of California at the end of this month. And of course, Iron House will be looking to fill that vacancy. My last day of service for Iron House will be at our board meeting on August 19th. I wanted to say to the City Council what a honor and pleasure it has been to work with you. City Council, City Manager have been a great partner for Iron House and a great partner for Oakley. It's been a real honor to work with all of you, and I'm going to miss you. So, thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jean-Marc Petit. I'm the general manager of the Iron House Sanitary District. As President Morgan mentioned, we will have a board meeting next week, Tuesday the 19th at 6:30 p.m. I believe Vice Mayor Henderson usually comes as a liaison. You're all welcome to come and celebrate and proclamation and the service from Susan Morgan for the last 11 years. Thank you.
Thank you. And seeing no other speaker cards, we will close that item and move on to item 3, which is council member comments. Any council members have any comments they'd like to make? Councilmember Meadows.
Just like to thank Susan Morgan for her years of service to Iron House. Thank you.
And I'd like to say that as well. Congratulations and good luck with your move. Thank you for all that you've done for not just Iron House, but for the city. And it's not always easy, but you've made it look pretty easy. So good luck on your next adventures. All right, seeing no others, we will move on to the consent calendar. Are there any items that council would like to pull?
4.1, 4.2, 4.7, and 4.8.
All right, hearing no others, do I have a motion for the remainder?
I'll move.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to adopt the consent calendar minus 4.1, 4.2, 4.7, and 4.8. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. 4.1, Councilmember Fuller.
Yes, again, I wish that they were, or I would like to recognize, I don't believe there's as complete as the public would like or as transparent as we like, so we've done that in the past and have changed that. So with that, I will not vote aye on these minutes.
I move approval of 4.1.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second for item 4.1. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Item passes 4-1. Item 4.2, Councilmember Fuller.
Yes, I've stated before, and I've stated I will be voting no on this. I believe there's too much ambiguity in the actual policies. They are not transparent enough. There's not enough specificity. There's too much interpretation that is, I believe, is going to penalize our homeowners as we continue forward and the City Hall begins to issue permits. So I will vote no.
It's unfortunate the state crams is crammed down on us by the state. but it is. With that, I move approval of 4.2.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Passes 4-1. Item 4.7, Councilmember Fuller.
Yes, I had some questions regarding, and I'll use 4.7, the quarterly report, but they're both, I think, come together in the basic questions. But then looking at page 4, the quarterly market summary from PFM, assessment, asset management, is that the indicators are labor market, so growth. We see the ISM less than 49, retail sales at 3.3%, the real GDP at minus 0.05%, and then inflation's we're basically holding our own, and we know that CPI this just today was at 2.7%. If we go back to our yields, we seem to be changing over quarter with a less of a growth. And I might ask on page 11, we have U.S. Treasuries, joint power authorities, and corporate. Can I get the U.S. Treasuries, but can you explain further the joint powers authorities? I guess they're CAMP and the corporate investments that we have here within the our graph.
Good evening. So I don't have all those details in front of me tonight. I can absolutely bring that back another night with further explanation if you have specific questions. You just want to know what that's made up of?
Well, I'm basically looking at what are corporate investments? Are we talking? I know I get the U.S. Treasury. 87% of our investments are in Treasury. The joint powers authorities, I'm not quite sure in corporate. What is the cumulative total? I mean, what are we accumulating in corporate when we bind them together? Are we talking about stocks? Are we talking about certificate of participation?
So if you go to page 20 on the report, it does break out that corporate on what it is. If you're looking for individual items, it actually starts on page 19.
Yes. So Bristol Myers Alphabet, which is Google Target. So we are investing, all right, in there. And then what is the joint powers? Is that CAMP? Is what you're referring to there?
Correct. I believe that is correct. The joint powers is right there on page 19, just above the corporate for CAMP, yes.
The reason I'm asking is yesterday we had, 200 point decrease in the Dow. Today we have, 438 points increase. We're kind of in a volatile situation, as you know. Tariffs, we're not quite sure how that's impacting. Oakland is delivering items as fast as they can before they get taxed on tariffs. But once they do, we know tariffs are highly regressive taxes, which are going to cut back on consumer spending, and we seem to be already moving there. The reason I'm asking in this volatility or in this continual mix of economic changes, often daily, what are we doing to shelter ourselves, our investments from this type of dynamic?
I think that's one of the reasons we use PFM. They do this for a living every day. And, as we all know, the market tends to go up and down and have those volatile situations. And then there's the flip side of that where it's very good and doing well. And so PFM, they try and manage our portfolio to kind of handle those ebbs and flows. And you're going to see times when we're making and earning a lot of interest like we are right now. And then you're going to see times, I think it was probably 3 years ago, where that number was a negative number and we were losing. And so what PFM does is they try and look at it as a whole and over time period versus a 1 year. We're definitely not investing for 1 year periods. We're investing for the long term. And over the long term, we anticipate that being a positive number.
I guess what I'm asking is, okay, the Treasury is there, yes. The S&P's reached a new high today in terms of it. But I'm looking at the Treasury yields. I'm looking at others. So you're saying, great, interest is up. We're going great. But I'm reading reports from some economists. They're expecting a 40% impact on stocks by the end of the decrease by the end of the year. What I'm saying is, are we going to take a big impact, or are we going to lose a little, or how is that going to impact?
I wish I had the answer to that. I don't know what that looks like. And again, we allow PFM as our treasury to kind of do that for us. And they suggest almost on a weekly basis of, hey, we need to sell off this one and we need to purchase a new one. So they make those, they're looking at them all the time. I wish I knew what that meant at the end of all of this. We don't. I will say, we try and be very conservative when we're looking at our budget. We don't plan for the amount of interest we're actually currently earning because we know there's potential that it ebbs and flows. And so we take that into account when we do the budget. And on the good years, it's great, and we know that. And then on the not so good years, we try and budget for those not so good years.
Okay, well, thank you. And with that, I will approve both 4.7 and 4.8 simultaneously.
I actually have other comments since you pulled it.
I'm sorry.
Councilmember Meadows.
So really just answer the question. I don't, you're okay. I mean, we don't invest in equities or AKA the stock market. We invest in corporate bonds. So the public entities are paying us interest. It doesn't fluctuate with the stock market.
If I may ask, I have the light there, but I'm looking at corporate, Bristol Myers Squibb, Google, which is called Alphabet, is callable. Squibb is callable. Target Corporation is callable. In other words, these are corporate investments. I'm not.
All
so
bonds.
Say we're not investing.
It's not equities, though. That's not the stock market. That's the bond market. It's corporate bonds. It's a loan.
I don't know. That's why I was asking what's listed under corporate.
All right.
I'm not seeing the word bonds in there. I'm seeing the Joint Powers Authority, but I'm not seeing bonds. I'm not seeing that. I am seeing corporate. I am seeing quarterly portfolio transactions, Amazon of 4.1, that was during Burlington, Northern Santa Fe, Amazon, Bank of America, JP Morgan, 422. This is on page 21. Bonds or stocks, either way, they are private entities, and we're relying on private profits and continuing business to be able to meet their, even if they're bonds, to their quarterly call. So that's what I'm asking, and I'll still move them, but I'm still in a state of flux that I will have to research it further.
So that was a motion? If
Yeah,
that is, that's a second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor for?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry, this is for both 4.7 and 4.8 as one. Councilmember Fuller? You wanted to do both?
Yes, I'm sorry. I did ask a move for 4.7 and 4.8. I'll read it again.
All right, yep. So I just wanted to make sure the second was on the same page, so I'm going to do the vote again. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Public hearings, we have none. Regular calendar, we have none. We are going to move into 7.1, which is city manager report.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, members of the City Council. Tonight I don't have a lengthy report. We do have our business license list for the month of July. attached to the agenda, but I'm going to defer the rest of my time. We have a presentation by Lieutenant Roberts on our fireworks suppression operation this past July, and our police chief is going to give a mid-year police department update on crime. So I'll defer my time to them.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, and council members. Get this. There we go. Pleasure to be here tonight. Yearly review of our operations that we did for the fireworks suppression. Turned it on? I am not mechanical in any way whatsoever, just to be honest. I think I even turned it on. If it doesn't have Control-Alt-Delete, I really have a problem. There we go. Okay, the operation, our goal is for the operation every year is to suppress fireworks. We do through education, enforcement, and accountability. To determine our scale, we look at historical data. We go through the years prior. We get intelligence anywhere we can possibly get it, from the fire department, from fire marshals, other agencies, online, and we kind of develop a plan at that point. Pre-plans this year, we did social media education efforts, started that in June. I did a fireworks forum in June 11th. I expect this huge group of people. I got a couple. And we ended up providing information. My goal behind the fireworks forums, first year I've done that, was transparency. I didn't want any secrets to the public. I wanted them to know what my operational plan was. And my goal was to try to prevent the fireworks or lessen them as much as I possibly could, and being transparent of what my plan was. We did put it out to citizens for input from them. They were able to respond to us with tips of areas that they've had known problems before. We ended up getting 45 locations from those citizens reporting in. So for our event, we partnership with Contra Costa County Fire. We did a video campaign with us and several other law enforcement agencies. Con Fire actually reached out to us to participate in this. We had Officer Radcliffe and Canine Harkin involved in the video, and it was an informational campaign through Con Fire and the law enforcement agencies just to put out information about fireworks are illegal, don't do it, it comes with fines. We post signs throughout the city, and what we do is we have our sergeants every day from mid-June to 4th of July, we have them reporting every day to us on where they're getting fireworks reports and how many they're getting. So everyone's kind of on the same page. And then I turn this off. There we go. Just a cool picture. That's why that's there. Our patrol cars and our drones. Our operation was 3 days. It was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, July 4th, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. We had a total of 20 personnel. That includes both sworn and non-sworn personnel. It was 100 hours, and we used everything from unmarked vehicles to marked vehicles on top of our drones. This is our stats for just from last year to this year. They went up, the calls for service went up 65%. Not surprising to me. I knew with it coming, with 4th of July coming on a Friday, it was going to be a challenge. I figured our numbers were going to go up, and luckily for us, the citizens were calling in and giving us locations, and that was part of our mapping on when we were going to go out and do enforcement. The goal of the operation, I was going to depend heavily on drones. That's one of the reasons for the forum that I wanted. I wanted people to know that, one, we got a brand new drone for the city, for the police department, and I was going to have that drone up to try to capture as many people as I could. We got the new drone. We had it about a month and a half or so before the operation. We tested it out. And then I had an operational issue happen to be on the 4th of July right about 9 o'clock, and I decided to ground it. I did that because I lost the ability to record. And from prior years, what I learned was it makes our jobs a lot easier. It makes appeals a lot easier to decide if there's actually video evidence. So with me not having the ability to have a recording, I grounded the drone and we went with just the officers for that night. The drone was operational from on the 3rd and the 5th. It just had to come down at 9 o'clock. So we deployed officers in unmarked vehicles that night with their body cams, and all the video, all the recording, or all the citations that were issued were all captured on body cam recordings. We used our special services team, our SST team, that cut down on overtime for us, and they travel in unmarked vehicles all the time. and we ended up using them on top of uniform officers, and we utilized our PSAs, our police service officers also. So this was the operation. In 2024, we had 14 citations. 2025, we had 9. We're going to call that a loss of 36%, down numbers. Am I pleased with it? Absolutely not. I wish it was 0 all the way around and there were no fireworks. That's my goal. But I would have liked to see a lot more, and 100% on me. It's my plan. I'm the one that devised it. I'm giving every resource I could possibly ask for to make this work. And in this case, we could have done better. We did. One issue we did come up with this year that was different from last year, 14 fires. 2 of those fires were significant, took quite a bit of resources. The other fires were smaller fires, but my team, my officers that are deployed are responding to those fires, and they're giving fire the idea of how much resources they need to bring to it. A lot of it the officers were able to take care of sometimes themselves, but other times they would need just one engine or one crew to come take care of a small fire. But 2 of the fires did take quite a few resources from them on the 4th of July. So again, this is my operation, so let me have it. What do you got? Questions?
All right, Councilmember Williams.
Ooh, that was the fastest one, because you guys ignored me for the last 2 consent calendar items, so. Okay, so I know we've been trying fireworks suppression for multiple years now. I think anybody who's been watching knows I was a huge fan of fireworks and having legal fireworks and thinking that was the answer, but data shows that's not. But I also think what we're doing isn't working. There was a lot of pushback with the social media. While I think it's important to get that information out, there was a lot of pushback with the social media. People were laughing about the 14 tickets, and then this is going to suck when we give 9. Just talking with other people, like what other agencies and stuff do, I was wondering if we've considered anything like this. So I was speaking to a Hayward police officer, and they can't go to calls for service a lot of the times. They've had officers attacked with fireworks, so the police won't actually even respond to calls for fireworks. What they do instead is, if your neighbor sees you, they have to record you and your house number, so you can't have neighbors who just don't like each other. So you have to record the neighbor, the house number, and them actually putting the thing, and then code enforcement just sends a ticket. They send a link to the video that shows that they were captured doing it, and I don't know the exact statistics, she gave it to me, but it was a while ago, but they have had a huge increase in the amount of citations. I think they issue something like 450 per year, and they used to do enforcement just like how we did it. So that's my ask, I guess, is could we, while I hate the thought of neighbors having to tell on each other, as somebody who had a fire at my house, I think that's an important tell. You need to tell on the people that are doing it, and so I'm wondering if that can help to do this, because I know I was all excited for the drone, so that's kind of a bummer, but maybe we have to try something different.
It's a challenge with neighbors versus neighbors. We'll have neighborhood disputes over somebody parking their car in front of a neighbor's house. If a neighbor's reporting on a neighbor and that neighbor gets a $1,000 fine, it's not going to be good for the neighbors, probably, in my experience. We did have a situation in this year where kind of that was happening, but I was able to get video and an officer responded and found things themselves. So we didn't have to disclose that video. We got video on our own with our officers, which I would much rather have, because then it's my officer that's dealing with it. It is definitely, a challenge. Every year we go back after the end and we try to figure out what we're going to do the following year. I thought the forum and the drone, I was excited. That was a letdown. If there's a positive side, I was expecting Saturday to be as bad as Friday. Because it's a weekend thing, and we had 89 calls on Friday on the 4th of July, and I think we had 10 on Saturday, and we were able to respond to all 10 calls. We're not catching them in the act, but the number was greatly reduced. So we look at that data. Next year it falls on Saturday, the 4th of July, so I will gear my plan with that in mind. But I don't shy away from any recommendation or any idea because I'm willing to try just about anything. I just try to think of the totality of how it's going to affect everybody.
I mean, I do know that the way, from what I was told, and I mean, maybe you guys can reach out to the Hayward PD to see how they do it, but it is anonymous. You don't know that your neighbor is doing it. And when you think about what our code enforcement does today, we're relying on our next door neighbors to tell on our next door neighbors. So we're already sort of doing that with ordinances. So I think we should just look at, we can't, I mean, I don't know if we've put the 9 citations online yet. It will be after today's meeting, obviously. And I am just seeing the social media posts right now.
I'm expecting my phone to be pretty busy over the next week. My only concern is getting through an appeals process. The person is entitled to that video. And if they see the video, they're going to know exactly where it came from. That's my concern. Again, I'll take any recommendation, any advice, any conversation I'll listen to. And we'll gear a plan and try to change things up as much as we can.
All right, Councilmember Fuller.
Yes, thank you. I don't envy you. It was great, but it was loud. Went up. It is increasing. Neighbors and other people are getting disturbed. I think one of the most disturbing ones I saw this year was a person put on a photo of how what appears to be commercial type fireworks were placed over a manhole or manhole cover, and the danger. And yes, those things with the gas, they can blow several, at least tens of feet away and strike somebody. So with some force, I was worried. The reason I bring it up is, yes, I think you're doing a commendable job with going there. We seem to be going, I'm just thinking back in the day when, law enforcement, when we rode dinosaurs and, looked out for flying technical objects coming out and whatever. But it's back in the day, but it was in Southern California, it got to the point that they formed a task force. And what I mean by a task force, it was 6 months. It wasn't, just a few days. They started 6 months before. It was LA County, I think it was Lenox Sheriff's, but LA County, Redondo Beach, Torrance, I think there were other beach cities, and other joined in. They actually had surveillance units. They started watching items coming across the border. In this case, it would probably be Nevada also, coming across, and they started serving search warrants and making felony arrests. And that seemed, after about 3 years of that 6-month activity, to bring it pretty much on the quilts, because all the commercial, we can't, we don't have any commercial sales. Well, the fireworks that we're seeing are coming from someplace. And I don't think they're all driving to Nevada just to pick up some. They're coming in, they're being stored somewhere, they're being there. And I'm just wondering if we should be looking at that or investigating, setting up a multi-agency task force to work, say, 6 months to target individuals who are making money off of this. Because as much as you're trying, as much as the enforcement I see going on, as much as your report says in here, I'm seeing an increase in activity, and I think that calls for a different perspective. And then that was one solution back in the day again, but just a thought.
Agreed, sir. I think if I reach out to Contra Costa Fire, I think they're open to anything, just like I am, to what we can do. And if we do start, maybe the process is a lot sooner. Maybe we do get more of I think the ports are a big place for them to come in, definitely over state lines and probably through Southern California, but more intel starting it earlier. I'm 100% behind you.
Yes, if you make a few felony arrests, I have no objection. Thank you.
I know a Hayward officer. They talked about also, I know we just raised our fines to 1,000, but they have escalating fines where first offense is a certain amount, second offense, and it kind of goes. So if you've got these repeat offenders, I don't know if that's something that we can do, but a thought. But I want to go positive. My neighborhood's always blowing up, and I saw officers out there like crazy. I saw marked and unmarked. I saw them rolling up on houses when they were shooting them off, and this guy over here in the corner not seeing that that house got lit up and started shooting him off, and so here they come driving around again. So I did see a lot of them. I also did get a lot of phone calls, like I was going to be able to get you guys to go to these houses. And so obviously we don't have any more, special privileges than anyone else in the city, but I do appreciate seeing the officers out this year. So I did want to let you know I saw a lot more of them. But the escalating fines would be something I'd like to potentially look into.
We did have a few locations that were fined last year, and we targeted those areas again just to see. One street had 3 citations last year, and this year we targeted that street pretty good. We didn't see anything on that street that year. So if I can just get more people, more fines, more people caught, maybe word spreads, and that goes along with that. Maybe that street learned. I can only hope.
Me too. Well, thank you. I think you're out of the hot seat.
Chief's got some good news for you.
All right, Chief Beard.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, members of the council. I'm going to do something that I haven't done before, and that is I'm going to provide you with a mid-year review of our operations. For the past 3 or 4 years, I have provided you with an annual update, but I feel like, at least this year, I feel like waiting 12 months has been too long to provide you with some information that I have. It also gives me an opportunity to return information to you that you have requested of me, and I actually have one of those elements in tonight's presentation. Now it's me. So a general report card for the city of Oakley is a good one. Our staffing is very stable and we're growing. We have 40 sworn officers out of an allotment of 42. 2 of those officers are our 2 academy graduates, and they are still in field training. We do have 1 officer who is out on an injury. And we're in the very early stages of this, so I'm not going to discuss it in great detail, but we have a non-sworn employee of the city who has committed us to become a police officer for us, and we are looking at sending that person through the 205th Academy class in January. So that's a good thing. And, frankly, this is a cohesive effort between you, city management, and myself to grow this department. And as this presentation will go on, I think we're going to see the positive results of that growth. So thank you very much for that. As you know, I look at key statistics, and I share those with you on an annual basis. You may recall that I use the statistic of stolen vehicles as my barometer for how are we doing for person and property crimes in the city of Oakley. And we're going to find out that my reliance on that statistic is actually holding water this year again. What I have done is I have taken a comparison of half of this year, and I've compared that to the same time period of last year, so we get a real look at how we're doing right now. You will see that we are, you're going to see we're down in every crime category except for domestic violence, and we're going to talk about that. We are down in vehicle theft by 43%, and I do believe that all of our stats do follow stolen vehicles and those trends. We are increased in a fatal traffic collision category, and we are increased in DUI, but that is not a negative thing. That means our officers are actually out there doing proactive work and reducing the totality of accidents abroad and potentially injury and or fatal accidents. So that positive is actually not a negative, that's a true positive. Last year, in 2024, our officers seized 36 firearms over the course of the whole 12 months during their criminal investigations. This year, for just half of this year, they are already at 29 firearms seized. So they're going at a rate that will exceed what they did last year. Something very special for me to report on is the fact that in 2024 we had no shooting victims, meaning nobody was shot by another person. Officers Williams, Hernandez, and Connor Johnson did lead the department in firearm seizures. And we'll talk about that in a minute, but I do want to address one thing that happened a week and a half ago. We did actually have a shooting on August 1st, and that perforated the peaceful streak that we had been on since December of 2023. And our detectives worked all weekend on that case, in conjunction with our patrol officers helping them out. And that occurred on a Friday. On the next Monday, just 3 or 4 days later, our detectives took the suspect into custody, and he remains in custody to this point. That was not a situation of a random act of violence. That was a targeted act of violence. And our detectives and our officers took that very seriously and worked as hard as they could to get that person into custody. Some commendable acts. I have issued commendations to Officers Hernandez, Johnson, and Williams for their performance in 2024, because not only did they take on a large number of firearm seizures, they also took on a large number of stolen vehicle recoveries. And I truly believe that they were fulfilling the duty of every police officer, and that is to keep their community safe. Those three were statistically wise producing more than anybody else in our department. So they have been commended for that. 6 months ago, Councilmember Williams, you may recall that you asked me, why do we have this trend of an increase in domestic violence? So we're going to spend a few slides on that, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to get back to you in 6 months to address these types of issues. By definition, domestic violence is the mistreatment of one family member or an intimate partner by another. The abuse can be physical, sexual, verbal, emotional, and psychological. Most often, the person who abuses are men. Most often, the victims of abuse are women and children. So you may recall between 2023 and 2024, we did see a 15% rise in domestic violence. I was asked to figure out why this is happening. What can we do to address this issue? Right now, we are trending with in this first half of the year, we are up 7%. So our duty now becomes what you had asked of us, determine the causes, what are the trends, and find ways to mitigate this rise. What I have come up with in talking to our investigators, lieutenants, and sergeants is domestic violence is largely a closed-doors crime. That is not to say it's justified at all, but unlike an officer being on patrol on the street, it's not as easy to detect domestic violence behind a closed door as it might be to find a stolen vehicle on the road. A growing community like ours, we're going to have more closed doors. We have more people moving in, so we're going to have more and more of these issues. So far in 2025, we have had 18 felony DV crimes and 30 misdemeanor DV crimes. We have found that, it's pretty common knowledge, really, but our study has led us right to where everybody else goes with this whole thing. Domestic violence is led by socioeconomics. Drug and alcohol abuse are closely tied to domestic violence. Domestic violence can be a learned behavior that is passed down generationally. In all of our cases, the ones I talked about up there, 4 of our cases involve the same 2 people, meaning the same couple fought and called the cops 4 different times. All 4 of those cases have been presented. None have been filed as of yet, so no criminal charges pending out of those 4 cases. We've had 1 case this year with a successful filing. We have 2 cases actively being investigated by our detectives. We have had 21 cases which have been sent to the DA, but we have not received any formal response, and that's normal, that's common. It is very normal to send a case to the DA, and it takes a long time sometimes to get a formal response back on what route the case is going to go in. 24 of our cases this year have been NCF'd, which is to say no charges were filed. There are many reasons for that. Because of the dynamics of domestic violence, sometimes there are no witnesses that the DA needs to successfully prosecute a case. Sometimes victims become uncooperative. Sometimes they become uncooperative because they are financially impacted, they need the income source, and because of other family dynamics that may be going on. So it really is a sad crime, and it's something that we are dedicated to being sensitive to. To mitigate these issues, what have we done? We have sent our detectives to specialized schools on domestic violence so that we are learning how to properly investigate these crimes in the wake of them. Domestic violence is taken seriously by our investigators and our patrol people alike. We have established professional and cooperative and collaborative relationships with victim advocacy groups. And part of our mitigation is going to occur this week. Danielle and I are working on a presentation to put out to our social media, and we want everybody to know that these resources are available. We do work closely with the Family Justice Center, the Contra Costa County Victim Witness Assistance Program. We work closely with STAND, and we especially work closely with Community Violence Solutions. I say especially because for one reason or another, our detectives have really woven into the fabric of I'll just call them CVS, that's what they go by, of CVS, and they have really become cohesive with one another. CVS is an organization led by the DA's office, or at least has a very heavy DA presence, and a lot of other law enforcement agencies are also involved with CVS, and collectively they all work together on how to tackle and investigate domestic violence crimes. This year, Detective Gill, our own detective, Brandon Gill, received the Champion Honorary Award from the CVS organization for exceptional contributions that support victims and combat violence in our community. I'm not surprised by this. I have long respected the work of Detective Gill, but we're awfully proud of him for achieving this. I want to give an update that I really could not give until today. You may recall October 21 of 2023. That was a house party shooting on Shannon Way. That was the largest act of violence committed against the youth of Oakley. We had 4 juvenile victims of gun violence that resulted in the death of a 16-year-old boy. From that night until today, that case has been vigorously investigated by Detective Dombrowski. Detective Dombrowski has written several search warrants in pursuit of the justice of this crime. Detective Dombrowski was able to link the shooter of this case to yet another shooting. And ultimately, Detective Dombrowski was able to take the person into custody, and that person has been standing trial for the past few months. Today, that person, the shooter, was sentenced to 30 years in state prison. So that is nothing to celebrate, right? We shouldn't celebrate that, but I think we can all agree that is a decent sentence in this climate for a crime like that. So I truly respect the work being put forth by our investigators to make sure the good work like this is still occurring. So the wrap up to this whole thing is we're in good shape. We continue to serve our community, and we are maintaining a vigilant presence against crime and criminals. And with that, I'm available for any commentary or questions.
Do I have any questions from the council? Councilmember Williams?
It's not really a question. It's just thank you for the dedicated follow-up. I really appreciate it, and hopefully we can get some additional resources. But it sounds like you guys have a great plan put together, so I feel like we can, I think domestic violence is probably one of the hardest crimes, kind of like how you said it is closed doors, and when you feel that there are no resources. So I appreciate that you guys are, doing specialized classes to figure out how to investigate properly, but also providing people with the resource. I know we've worked a ton with Family Justice Center outside of City Council as a group, and they've got some really great resources for people, and it's a really good solution. So getting that information out there is half of it, I think. So thank you so much for the dedicated follow-up. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And again, we will be putting that out on social media this week.
I also think just as much as you guys are out in the community and the residents feeling safe enough to start reporting, hopefully that will help. So not only the educational part of it, but everywhere you guys are and all the stuff that you guys do. And I think that that's only going to continue. Like you said, our city is growing, so the presence has to grow, not just at the stops, not just at the calls, but at the community events. And I think that that's going to just continue to help the residents feel like you are part of their community and they might start reporting.
That would be the essence of police work, honestly. Yes.
Thank you so much. All right. I think you're out of the hot seat now.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, so we will move on to 7.2, which is reports from council for activity they've done for committees and commissions and boards and all the other amazing things that we do when we are not here. And who's going to go first? Vice Mayor Henderson.
Since our last meeting, I attended Iron House Sanitation District board meeting Friday Night Bites, National Night Out, the Mayor's Conference, and city staff did a wonderful job with the fishing derby this last Saturday.
Councilmember Fuller?
Yes, I had the good fortune to visit Studio 55 on a couple of occasions to enjoy lunch. It was well done. We'll probably be discussing that later in the day. And also I attended Congressman DeSaulnier's report with Bob Bonta, Attorney General Bob Bonta. You don't have to worry about Bob Bonta, no, right here. But the bottom line is that we've got some rough times ahead. Attorney General Bonta brought up, he's filed, I think, 17 lawsuits since Trump took in. Most of it, or I think it was a report, all of them have been successful. He anticipates 35 by the end of the year. I believe it was a number that I got. So in the meantime, we can look for rocky roads. Funding's going to be nebulous if we're going to be able to have it or not have it. Fortunately, we have $6 billion coming back in from Washington at this time for education, but there's going to be others there, which is going to include the state, which will impact us. So we will see as the adventure continues.
Councilmember Meadows?
Since our last meeting, attended a CCTA meeting, Contra Costa Transportation Authority, MCE meeting, Mayor's Conference in both Brentwood and Antioch, and National Night Out.
Councilmember Williams?
I know this will be very disappointing, but mine's going to be pretty short. I had to defer to my other half to do a bunch of these because I had an ill child. But I did go to both Mayor's Conference. I think there's some important things to pull out of both of them, so I'll quickly go over them. The Mayor's Conference, that was in Brentwood, we had a presentation from DA Becton. She was focusing on the budget. The majority of the budget is people-focused, focused on community violence reduction, special operations, family violence, victim witness assistance, and Bureau of Investigations. One important statistic she gave was that they filed 3,085 felony cases. They spent 661 days in jury trial in 2024. They prosecuted 17 human trafficking cases and provided service and support to victims in 8,008 cases. We also got an update on Prop 36 implementation. Contra Costa County has filed 85% increase rate in cases involving recidivism, and a usual case rate of 67% is throughout the rest of California. So Contra Costa is doing slightly better. Let's see. I attended the best national night out at Happy Trails Riding Academy for Combined Neighborhoods, Brown Road, and Laurel Crest, the best one. Delta Protection Commission, we did executive interviews. We had 2 really great candidates, and there is an offer that will be extended pending a background check. The Mayor's Conference in Antioch, we had Congressman DeSaulnier there. He was talking about gun law strength nationwide. California is ranked #1 in gun law strength and 7th lowest for gun rates per deaths per capita. And Contra Costa County is the best in the country for deaths per capita. And there is a youth summit that will be occurring September 20th at LMC. So I'll try and get you information that we can share on social media. And that's it. That was my shortened version because Mayor Shaw is going to have to do the other reports.
Mine aren't as detailed, but since the last council meeting, I had the Contra Costa Mayor Conference, obviously in Brentwood, which has already been talked about. The ribbon cutting at, was it Great Mindset Collective? The Older Americans Act 60th birthday bash at LMC, which was a really good turnout where we got to celebrate all the things that they've done. A CCTA meeting, Delta Protection Commission meeting. I was in Kansas City at a transit conference for Transit Board and Administration from 7:19 to 7:22, came home and went right to a Tri-Delta Transit meeting. Zoom with Assemblymember Lori Wilson's office. We are working on a 2026 transportation town hall for her district for seniors and those with disabilities, trying to make transportation more accessible. The Liberty Union High School District Convocation, which was held at Freedom High School. DeSanye's Environmental Town Hall at the East Bay Regional Park Big Break. I did get to attend a Skip Summer Concert Series on the August 1st, Friday Night Bites, August 4th, Delta 6 meeting in Pittsburgh, the 5th, National Night Out. We did, thank you, Chief and Josh, for driving me around. We got to a good chunk of the events. It did end at Happy Trails, but I'm going to tell you guys, Delaney Park gave you a run. So the Mayor's Conference in Antioch, where Desanye presented, a tour of the work on East Cyprus. It was great to be out there and really see the staff and how proud they are of the work that's being done and how excited they were to show us, and just to see the passion behind it. So thank you so much for that. Please pass that along to the staff in that department. And also the fishing derby on the 9th. And I was stopped by a resident asking who can they reach out to say that the rec staff are so helpful and what a great job they do. And Jerry was with me and said, well, you're talking to the mayor right now. So I am officially bringing that back to the rec department. There was a lot of great compliments. So staff always does an amazing job at these events, but it's so nice to get stopped and someone not know who I am and just talk about how great the staff is, and then I get to tell them who I am, and then it's, pretty cool that I get to pass it along. So thank you for everything that you guys have done. All these things that we go to are great, and we try to bring back as much to the city, but you guys are the real hard workers here, so thank you. And that's my report. So we'll move on to 7.2B, which is future agenda item requests. Are any council members like to request any future agenda items? Seeing none, we are moving right along. We have a work session tonight, 8.1, which is an update on Studio 55 and senior programming. Jerry Tejeda, Administrative Services Director, will present.
Good evening again, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council. Thank you for having me tonight. I wanted to start with a bunch of pictures from our Studio 55. And, I think when we all envisioned this is what we envisioned. We envisioned our community coming together and having something to do together and just really enjoy each other's friendship. So I think that is said in all of these pictures that we're looking at. Oh, wrong way. So in the work session tonight, we're going to talk a few things. I'm going to provide you with some statistics that we promised a few months back when we started Studio 55. We're going to talk about our programs. We're going to talk about Cafe Costa, which is the lunch program. And then we're going to ask for some direction on fees and policies. And we're also going to talk about the potential of a scholarship program. So we're going to start with some numbers. Please keep in mind these numbers were all taken that you're going to see tonight just a few weeks ago. And I will say these numbers have grown rapidly as we go along. So we have 293 total members. We took that count again this morning. It's 331. So you can see in just a few short weeks how quickly we're getting members to sign up. But with that, we only have 174 active members, meaning they've come to at least one of the programs and participated in the program. And then we currently have 42 what we call kind of core members. They're coming to multiple programs, multiple days a week, and actively a part of Studio 55. So of that 293, this is how it kind of breaks out by city. 204 of those members are Oakley residents. And then we have some Brentwood residents, Antioch, Bethel Island, and then we have just a bunch of other small members from other cities. So, but the majority of our members are Oakley residents. So we're going to take you through what each day looks like at Studio 55. Mondays, we have pickleball in the morning. Our average attendance there is 9, and our highest attendance is 15. We have cane dough, which our average is 2, with the highest attendance of 5. We have movie Mondays, which hasn't really taken off, which we average about 2, and our highest attendance has been 2. And then we have square dancing on Monday evenings, with our average of 17 and 20 being our high. Pickleball has been a hot topic. So we've added additional hours to pickleball on Monday mornings, and it has remained well attended. On Tuesday, we have Eccentrics, which is an exercise class. We average 21 with our highest of 26. We have ukulele with our average of 11 and our highest of 14. And then we have game time, where we open Studio 55, where people can come and play games. Again, we're not doing very well in attendance there, with 1 is our average and 2 is our highest attendance. We're adding beginning square dance as an afternoon session. I believe that's already started and very well attended. And today we had our first senior painting class, and I believe the number was 15 in the class. So again, very well attended. I'll show some pictures here in a few minutes on that. On Wednesdays, we have pickleball again in the mornings, and we're extending the hours again in the morning for pickleball. We have Fiber Arts Basic and Fiber Arts Advanced, where we're averaging 12 and 10, and our highest is in the 14 to 19 range. And then we have our senior safety class, where our average has been 3. And that's kind of like a self-defense class with our highest attendance of 6. We also recognized that, pickleball was not just being requested in the mornings. We had a group that is still working seniors, and they were looking for something to do in the evenings. And Wednesday evenings, we actually have other programming that is occurring at the rec center. We already have staff on site for those programs, and the great room is available for pickleball. So while we have staff on site, it's not costing us any additional to open for pickleball in the evening. So we've started doing that. And it's just as well attended in the evenings as it is in the mornings. On Thursday, we have that Eccentrics class again. It continues to be very popular. The exercise classes are very popular. We have line dancing with our average of 10 and the highest of 11. We have walking club. Again, nobody wants to go for a walk. I think we had 4 the first day, and we really haven't had any since then. And then we have 2 cooking classes in the afternoon. Again, we were trying to find something we could do a little bit later in the evenings for those that work. The class is capped at 6 because of the size of the kitchen, and it sells out. They sign up, and they sign up early. And right now, we don't have any additional plans to add to Thursday. So I just wanted to provide a few pictures. Again, this is the pickleball crew that comes in the mornings and the afternoons. Before pickleball started, most of these people did not even know each other. They met at pickleball, and they now meet every morning that we offer pickleball, and they usually stay for lunch and have lunch together. So it's really cool to watch the friendships. And this is our painting class. Today was our first day. It was very well attended, and painting will happen every Tuesday. So to move on to Cafe Costa, we just went to 4 days a week lunch on July 1st. So keep in mind, these numbers are only for the last, I think it was 25 days when we did this presentation. So Mondays, our average is 12 with the highest 15. Tuesdays, our average is 18 with the highest being 22. Wednesdays, our average is 25 with the highest being 29. And that number was actually 35 just last Wednesday. And Thursday, our average is 12 with the highest being 17. And we do not serve lunch on Fridays. So again, the whole purpose of opening the senior center was to be able to provide lunches. This was the day we had 35 members. We're able to provide lunch, being able to kind of step back and see the room full. Every table had people at it. There was very few chairs left to sit, and everybody was able to enjoy lunch with somebody sitting next to them, which is a really neat thing to sit back and watch and be part of. Cafe Costa has eligibility criteria. Individuals age 60 or older are eligible to receive the congregate meals. Spouses of eligible participants, regardless of their age, may also come for meals as long as they're accompanied by the older adult. Individuals under 60 with disabilities who live with an accompanying eligible older adult is allowed to receive meals. And then the volunteers, if we have any volunteers, which we do not have volunteers currently, but if we had volunteers, and there were extra meals, they would be allowed to have that meal if it was extra. We're not allowed to order an extra meal for them. So we'll move on to kind of some of the things we're doing. Seasonal celebrations. We're trying once a month to do something fun that goes with the season. And we had our first Independence Day Senior Sundays. It was a great success. We had approximately 50 in attendance. We had games, we had ice cream. 4th of July bingo was really popular. And we had some prizes. We have our upcoming Hot August Nights on the 27th of August, and then we have several planned in the coming months. So we invite you all to come and join us for those. With that, we have some areas we need to improve on and some things we've kind of noticed. We have a few programs that have low attendance. So we've recently changed kind of how we're marketing those programs. We're trying to increase the attendance. We've been working with the instructors to see how we can maybe tweak that program a little bit to cause more people to be interested in coming. But at the end of the day, we'll have some sort of cutoff where we'll have to consider replacing that program for a more popular program if it continues to have low attendance. Activities that we're planning, like Movie Mondays and Game Days and Walking Club, we were waiting to go 4 days a week for lunch in hopes that that would encourage people to kind of stick around after lunch and play a board game or a game of cards or to watch a movie. We haven't really seen that. We're going to give it another month, and then we'll have to replace those programs with something different. And then lastly, we're noticing Studio 55, the social space, is very underutilized. It's busy during lunch, 11 to 12:30. The rest of the time, people check in and go to a program. They're not really hanging out in the social space. We have 1 or 2, maybe 3 some days, but it's very minimal, the number of people that are actually using the space. And usually after 12:30 lunch, it's even more scarce. So we need to try and find ways to bring them in. But the reality is they want the programs. So they're going to the program and then they're going home, or having lunch and then going home. And so we're hopeful that adding some afternoon programs, maybe that gets people in there a little bit longer. But those are things we're watching, and we'll bring recommendations once we have them. I feel like we need probably another good 3 months of numbers to really figure it out. And then things that we need to discuss tonight, I think I'll go through them all, and then if you're okay with that, we'll turn it over and have discussion. But there's just a couple things we need to make some decisions on. We need to determine if we're going to charge an annual membership fee. Our previous discussion was $25 annually. That was waived for 2025 by the council. So we need to kind of start talking, will there be an annual fee for 2026? If yes, how much will that fee be? Is the fee going to be different for an Oakley resident versus a non-Oakley resident? And do we plan to prorate if somebody signs up mid-year? So those are all the things staff, we've kind of been presented with as we are going through this, and questions that have come up. You know, we've looked at our Brentwood and Antioch surrounding us. They charge between the $20 and $25 range for their annual. I couldn't see where it was prorated. We do offer a lot of classes and a lot of programs for that $25. When they're coming to cooking class, they're leaving with a meal that they don't have to pay for. They are, that's part of the fees we're paying the instructor. They make that food and they take it with them. The painting class, they're not paying for it. The fiber arts class, they're not paying for any of those things. So we felt the $25 fee is a very low fee for what we're providing with the program. So prorating it, while, you know, if somebody joins in December, I could see where that would be like, oh, I'm only going to get 1 month, but maybe we have a cutoff. We charge up to a certain time. But I think prorating it is a lot of work to do, and they're still getting the same benefit that everybody else is, whether they sign up in January, whether they sign up in July. And then the next thing we need to talk about is the age. We have had a request for somebody under the age of 55. So we need to determine, is this a senior program or is this a program for other things? And we need a clear definition so that staff is able to sign people up appropriately and fall within those guidelines. So if we're going to consider allowing anybody under the age of 55, we really need clear direction as how do we determine their eligibility? Because right now it's really easy for staff. They look at a driver's license and you're either 55 or you're not. That would be our staff recommendation, that we keep it 55 and up. This is a senior program. But we're open to ideas. And then just as an FYI, the Cafe Costa guidelines don't change. Whether we change our guidelines or not, that doesn't allow them still to come for meals if they don't meet one of the eligibility criteria. And then lastly, we just wanted to talk about a scholarship program. It's something I believe we used to have. We kind of had something very similar with ARPA, where they were allowed to get a program for ARPA. So in the fiscal year 25-26 budget, we have $10,000 in the recreation budget. It would allow for the waiver of fees for one program per year per person, and that would be a kids program under 18 or for a Studio 55 membership for those who maybe can't pay the $25 or whatever that fee might be. We just wanted to kind of bring that to you and discuss that if there wants to be any discussion. We would limit it at the $10,000 that's in the budget, so once that $10,000 was spent, it wouldn't be available anymore. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, but I'm gonna go back to the first slide here of discussion so we can determine and bring back what that fee might look like if there is a fee. Thank you.
Councilmember Fuller?
Yes, first, thank you for all you've done. I visited her for lunch at least once a week. To go through, the response has been favorable, is gone. People are attending. They seem to enjoy the meals. They're not like BJ's, but they are good meals. They're good to eat and enjoy them. Mr. Falk's grinning in the back also. They're prepared well. I have a question. One of the rumors that I heard, people didn't know I was even on the council at that point, but the membership on a day was low. Membership. Attendance at lunch was relatively low. And they began going, well, if we don't get enough people here, they're going to cut off the program. And I kind of looked at them, where'd you hear that? And they, it's one of those things that's just circulating. And I was kind of distressed by it, that rumor exists, and I don't think it's true, and what we can do to
We've heard that rumor as well. I can tell you staff did not start that rumor. So rumors get started. We have no intention of the program ending. In fact, there's going to be days that are lower than others, and there's going to be days that are higher than others. We work through those days, but yeah, I don't know where that would have come from. I think maybe people see low attendance and they get fearful that might be the case. I think it's only been 3 months. Like, we have to remember it's only been 3 months. And I will tell you, the day we had 35 people in the room, we panicked a little. The room is full at that point. And so, then we would have to come up with plan B if it goes over that 35. So yeah, I don't think we've had a day under 10 or 12 people at lunch. And I think those are good days. Those are 10 or 12 people that were not getting lunch previously.
Thank you. The one other one came up, and I think you're aware of it. Okay, everybody was enjoying it, going around. I think that's part of what we're trying to do with meals, is not only deal with the nutrition, but also the social aspect that allows seniors some sort of contact and social aspect. There are those that come on a regular basis. I was, as you know, I was not by intention, just by accident, I sat next to a person that is deaf, and nonverbal. And I mentioned that to you, and you said that, I saw the 2x3 spiral notebook and the pen for communication. She indicated she knew ASL because she was somewhat communicating. She wanted to pet Anjo with ASL, and we resolved that. But is there anything we should be doing or can do to facilitate individuals coming in? When we go to a 2 or 3 inch spiral notebook and there's six people or seven people at a table, it's hard to carry on a conversation. Is there any way that we can facilitate or have on call or anybody that can come in those situations? And even then, other ways that we might be able to work with individuals that are where ESL, where their native language is Spanish, and they speak in Spanish or French or whatever the case may be, to facilitate that.
I don't want to speak on their behalf on what they prefer or how they prefer to communicate, but I will say the notebook is their notebook, and to my knowledge, we haven't had any issues with communicating. So I would say if they have some issues, they're welcome to bring those to us, and we would do everything that we can in order to facilitate what that looks like for them.
Okay, well, I can say as a disabled person, and especially if you're deaf and can't hear, it's intimidating to come up and say, hey, because you're going to have enough trouble just getting your attention saying otherwise. So I think that's something to go to. And then you mentioned walk and those things. Just as a sideline, you're getting up to the 80s, even in this light one at 10 o'clock. The UV indexes are very high here. We're now running into 9s and above in UVs. I can say for an aged person and with my dog, when you get above 80, doctors are probably telling you, nah, I don't know. Why don't you go on earlier in the morning? And UVs, when they're there, I'm sure the dermatologists are saying, hey, wait, make sure your sunscreen, and maybe a little bit earlier in the day too, just as mentioning those. So whether there's walk times, but I wonder if you were to reschedule the times a little bit earlier when it's cooler in the day and the UV isn't quite so hard, what might be the reaction? So thank you for all you do.
Welcome. Vice Mayor Henderson?
First off, I want to say from where we started as a subcommittee of how we were going to get this moved over and was this going to work and everything, staff's just done a spectacular job, and people have moved over, and with 300 signups, I mean, that is a great start. But again, we're in a building phase of this, so I'm going to go to your discussion item on membership fees. And my thought is that we probably need to waive the fees another year in 2026 and continue to build the program. I mean, when you look at the $25 at 300 people, that's about $7,500. And I think continuing to build the program and trying to get that program up to 500 and then building in from there would be important. I think the flexibility that you guys are doing by keeping the stats and the different programs and flexing and finding what that niche is good, but I think it's going to take a whole year. And so I'd say continue doing what you're doing and finding where all that works. And I think the program will grow and our numbers will grow in that point. But I think definitely waiving the fee for 26 should be a priority. Thank you.
Councilmember Meadows?
I'm okay with the fee at 25 for 26, but it's not that big a deal. Why are we getting people coming in from other cities? I mean, especially Antioch and Brentwood. I understand the others, but why Antioch and Brentwood?
I think maybe they have friends that live in Oakley and they're coming together. Maybe they like the programs we offered. Maybe they're different than Antioch or Brentwood's. I'm not real sure.
I mean, I ask that because they have programs in those cities too.
They do.
So if we're getting residents from other cities, I would charge them. And I would charge them double. I would charge them, if we're charging our citizens 25, I would charge somebody from another city 50. They have programs in their cities. We shouldn't be subsidizing other cities' population. It's not our responsibility. So, and then on the proration question, I'm okay with proration. I would suggest it based on quarter. So if they were to sign up in quarter one, full rate, quarter two, reduced by 5, quarter three by 10, and quarter four by 15 is what I would do. But, and we'll do this for every set of questions. We're going to go through every set of questions like this.
I'm okay with that if we want to just give some direction on each question. So right now, we're just talking about the fees. This page, membership fees, how much resident versus non-resident and prorated, or, okay, yes.
Okay, thank you.
And then we can come back for the next. Councilmember Williams?
I just want to echo what Vice Mayor Henderson said. This has been a long time making, and I've heard nothing but positive things. So I really appreciate all the effort the staff puts into it. I know when we get to the next one, I know I'm the problem child on the next one. I got it. I know it's me. I got to fight for my constituents, though. I got to fight for them. I was going to say the same thing as Vice Mayor Henderson. I feel like we keep building. I would have to imagine that the $25 is not really making a huge impact on our cost, right? I'm assuming when we were paying teachers, when we're doing food, I mean, we're probably still coming out negative. So I say we build again for one more year. It hasn't been a full year once we go to this. And I think if we're trying to just draw more people in, I think that's the way to do it. That being said, I hope we can find it in the budget so that we don't take away from, I like the scholarship stuff that I know we're going to get to later. I don't want those two things to be blurred. I want this to be separate, but I think that's the way we bring people in. I have to agree. I think it's maybe too hot right now for those walk times. And so, potentially in the fall, you're not going to want to go for a walk at 8 a.m. in the fall. It's going to be freaking pitch black out. So 10 a.m. makes sense. So I think with some of that stuff, maybe there's some flexibility that needs to happen. But the Oakley resident versus non-resident fee differentiation, obviously if we're waiving the fee for 2026, maybe it doesn't matter, or maybe we consider that additional charge for a non-resident, so that those numbers seemed like they were mostly Oakley residents though. And I think if the whole point of it is that we want people to have their friends and all of that stuff, I think we want to encourage, and every other senior center you can go around and have memberships there too. So I think we follow that model. And maybe we look to our neighbors to see what they're doing for resident versus non-resident fees. Do you have that already?
Yeah, I can tell you, Brentwood just has a single fee. It looked like it was $25 and 90 plus is free.
Okay.
And Antioch is $20 for resident and $30 for non-resident.
Okay. So, maybe we consider a differentiation, but I think for 2026, we figure out how to waive it anyway because we're trying to build, so. And I understand what you're saying, but we want everybody to have community, and so your neighbors may not live in Oakley, and you can still have community with them.
All right, Councilmember Fuller, you have your button pushed again. You want to talk about this item? Okay, because I do as well.
Yes,
So.
just one more item, and it's the age 55 limit. And personally, I like that.
Yeah, right now we're just doing the membership fees and if we're going to prorate or not, and then we're going to get to the age and we'll get to the other avenues. We're just going to take each one at a time so we can give direction.
As far as membership fees, I'll leave that with you. I think we can come up with a equitable fee. What I don't want to see is, I do see evidence that there are adults there with their, say, a family member joining them, and they seem to make the lunch on a regular basis, which is an indication they're not going out to the Black Bear Diner every day. They're going out to our office. I don't want to say anything, but they're probably a little bit shorter than some others. So I think we have to consider that also. But I'll come back to the age factor in when we're ready.
All right, perfect. So I have some comments on this. If we were to prorate, I would say make it 24 a year. That's $2 a month. Super easy. Whatever month you sign up in, then it's at, but quarterly would be okay too. That is an if. I understand that that might be a little more work. I do believe that we have a large number, right? You have, 293, now 331 members, but only 174 of them are active. I think that has to do with not charging. If we are going to have it free, then we're going to have a lot of people sign up and not use it, and then we're not going to get an accurate representation of who's doing it, who's using it. I'm not saying not to waive it. I think we waived it for 25, and I think that's great. If we were to waive it, I think we charge outside residents outside the city because we are subsidizing, but I don't agree necessarily with double. But I think the way to find out to get our core members, get our active members, and really get an idea of who the residents are that are using it, where they're coming from, is by having something to hold them to it, right? Like I charge $1 for my bus at work. The craziest thing is it's that $1 that makes that resident call me if they're not going to show up for that bus ride because there's something on the line for them. And like you said, the things that they're getting out of this are great. I wouldn't want to charge them $25 in November for the last 2 months. I think it's unfair to say that they would get the same amount of stuff because they're not going to get 12 months of it. But I do think we're going to get a actual closer representation of who's participating and who is going to continue to participate if they're willing to pay a small fee, so we can figure out those ones that are not necessarily, we might have less Antioch and Brentwood people signing up if there's a fee that they have to pay in their city and in our city. And so I think that it's going to give us a better idea of who is committed. And so I would lean towards not waiving it in 2026, but I like the idea of prorating it because if we have somebody come in a half year, I'd only want to charge them half that year. So, and who's going to get mad at $2 a month for everything that you guys can get, right? So that's kind of my thoughts. I don't know if there is we have 2 for it, 2 wanting to waive it. So that's why we have 5 people on a council. Councilmember Fuller?
I'm just waiting, reminding you about the other one.
Oh, yeah, we're going to go to the next screen, and I will not forget you. I promise you can be the first to speak on that. But we have a 2-2 right now as far as waiving for 2026 and not waiving for 2026. So I would need a tie vote for direction. We're not voting. I'm sorry, just a tie for direction. Putting you on the spot.
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Based upon the criteria for the meals and what we've established in SNAP, that I believe that there's appropriate waivers for it, but otherwise charging $25 a year would be nominal for our use. In addition, usually those fees, they offer some sense of belonging and a piece of the action. So we're not just getting money, but not necessarily, but allowing them an opportunity to know they're buying into the program for a nominal fee.
And I know we're going to get to the next part, but this is with the idea of having an ability for a scholarship for those that really just can't afford that. I think that could be figured out on you guys. So I would say then the direction would be a fee. And then prorating. If we are going to do a fee, how does everyone feel about prorating that fee?
I think that's the right way to do it. I mean, for my nonprofit, we have a membership and we do it quarterly, like how you said, because it's easier from an accounting standpoint. Although I don't hate your idea, $2 per month seems like that might be easy I think that's more on you to say how difficult something like that is.
And we can leave that.
We'll see what the system will allow us to do, and we'll bring that back.
Yeah, we don't want to give you super specific down, but these are kind of our thoughts. So I just wanted to make sure everyone was okay with the prorating part of it, whichever way you guys figure out can happen. If we are going to charge a fee, Vice Mayor Henderson, are you good with prorating? All right.
What about resident versus non-resident?
I can speak on that for myself. I do agree as well with Councilmember Williams. neighbors come far and wide, and I don't think that they should be granted a scholarship. Obviously, that would be an Oakley specific thing. I like the idea of it being a little bit more like Antioch, you know. So if we can look into that, I don't want to discourage them at all. You know, maybe the programming in those cities aren't great, but I think that we could potentially lose some of our residents if they can't participate with some of their friends.
And I don't know what the status is today of the Antioch Senior Center, but it is going to be closing for a period of time. The Senate office paid for a new roof and some revamping that's happening. So I would hate for, I mean, while, you know, it's not our Oakley residents, it's still human beings that we should all care about, especially if they've established relationships already with our seniors. You know, there may be some disruption to the ability for the Antioch seniors to even go someplace, but I don't know if they've got a secondary plan for that.
Councilmember Fuller, you were wanting to
Yes,
say?
I was just going to say, when you come to other cities, I don't mind nominal fee above, but the fees that I'm hearing, I can hear many in the aging process, as we're calling it, but gaining membership to all three. I mean, you're talking, what, $30 in Antioch? Didn't hear what you said with Brentwood, but 25 and ours, that's what, $80. I think there are some seniors that might even join all three. So I don't want to discourage them. I just want to make sure that we're making sure our residents are taken care of. So.
And a lot of our residents have been going to these other cities until we got our programming up and running. I mean, they've been utilizing it, especially in Brentwood, where they're not charging a different fee. So that's where our residents were going, and now we've got something new and shiny and great and awesome, and so they want to come check it out here. And they may have made friends going to Brentwood and Antioch because we didn't necessarily have a senior center. We had the senior facility, but they did still go to some of those other cities, and so they may have brought those friends here. So I would hate to cut those ties. Vice Mayor Henderson and Councilmember Meadows, anything on? I know you both had, I think, well, Councilmember Meadows, you had a double.
Yeah, I think it needs to be more. And double's still less than $1 a week.
And if we're going to charge a fee, it should be different. There should be a benefit for being a resident versus non-resident.
Is that enough direction?
I feel like I have enough. I feel like I have enough.
You have enough on that?
Yes.
I do have a speaker card for this, but I don't want to go into each one. Let's get through these and then we'll do the speaker, okay? So that way you can hear everything in case there's something else you want to speak about. All right. So yes, go ahead, Jerry.
So this is the age. So right now it's 55 and up. And so the things we need to determine, is this only a senior program, which would mean 55 and up? We just need clear definition on who we're going to serve. Clear definition on if we're going to serve under 55, how would we determine their eligibility? And that's where it becomes really difficult for staff. Right now, like I said, we look at a driver's license, you're either 55 or you're not. And I think if we start to open that door to under 55, it makes it really difficult for staff to keep things consistent and to be able to figure out eligibility. And then lastly, just as a consideration, the rules for lunch don't change whether or not we change our rules.
As promised, Councilmember Fuller.
Yes, obviously this one is hit me that I'm worried that if we start opening it up below 55, aren't we opening up senior civic limitation? I get FBI notices, I get DOJ notices, I get California Department of Justice DA notices, and continually they're saying the victims, that elderly are being targeted for victims of crimes, especially in fraud. It's there. There's really no way, I think, to police that, and our staff has enough to do, but to follow around and make sure nobody's being victimized or anything else. People have a sense of security when they arrive at our facility, and justifiably so, that it's there, their families do, that they're in with an elderly group. To suddenly start introducing other people, and like you say, how do you define their eligibility? You know, it's always, well, if I'd only known, well, you know, somebody coming in to victimize an elder isn't going to make themselves, you know, wearing a mask and going around with a gun. It's something that's there. So I'm fine with it. It's keeping it 55 and above. There are many other communities throughout the station, throughout the nation, that are supposed to be 55 and above, and they've allowed grandkids to come in and others, and they're kind of cracking the whip. They're finding out that it doesn't work. A person buys into a community for 55 and above, and suddenly their next door neighbor that's just got released from jail is their neighbor. You know, we can just keep it 55 and above, and I think that works for me.
You good? Councilmember Meadows?
55 and above.
Councilmember Williams?
Okay, I know I'm the problem on this one. I get it. I think the reason this has even come up is because there's a constituent who was using the program before. So while I'm good with it being 55 and up, is there ever a consideration of, I don't think there's going to be a ton of people who are using it. This particular person is disabled and wants a slower pace. And I've been reaching out to a bunch of groups, so I haven't just been harassing your staff, I promise, about it. I've been reaching out to a bunch of programs, and, you know, unfortunately, people who are adults who are disabled kind of fall into a different category. There's a ton of programs for, you know, kids who are disabled, even up to 25 who are disabled. And then, you know, I think they just kind of have to wait to become a senior. And so would there ever be a consideration of doing something like how we have Friends of the Oakley Library? Like, could we do a Friends of the Senior Center? There's a fee that's associated with it that's higher than the seniors. I don't think people are going to necessarily take advantage of this. I think it is one-off situations, which, as I'm saying that out loud, I realize how challenging that is for the city staff to have a one-off situation. I just want to make sure that we're trying to come up with some different options. And like I said, it's not just through this program. I've been trying to connect with other groups, and I potentially have something. So I think that's, you know, why I was sort of advocating for this. I think we do have a section of residents who need sort of a slower pace, but don't meet that age criteria for either spectrum, right? So that was where this came from. And Cafe Costa is the one who said that anybody can pay for a meal and come. Like, their director is the one who sent me an email back, so, which is totally fine. I'm totally fine with all of the things, just it seems like there's some miscommunication because their director was the person who was like, oh no, that's fine. Anybody can come pay the fee and be done.
Vice Mayor Henderson?
I think we need to stay with 55.
I agree. I think that the seniors need something that's their own. I do think that there potentially, you know, are times when a caregiver is going to be escorting a senior to an event, and I think that if there is space or not food, obviously, because that's its own thing. But like, I think that that's important because some of these seniors aren't going to be able to get there without their caregiver. And if we say, you got to go sit in the hot car and wait, they may stop coming. And also spouses, you know, you don't know if the spouse is in the same age group and they're going to want to come do things as a spouse. So I don't know if that is just that they're escorting that person there and they are the 55 and they are the member, and then if there's availability in whatever it is that they're doing, then they can participate. And if there's not, we have a nice, beautiful space that you can sit and relax and wait for your, you know, your person. So I think that we need to realize that as our seniors are aging, that they may need that care and they may need that that extra help to get there.
We have made those accommodations for the caregivers. So anybody who has a caregiver, they know they can't participate in the programs, but they're welcome to come into the facility, sit and wait, watch the program, however they want to do it. They're welcome to the facility, and of course, have access to whatever's in Studio 55. while
Right,
they're
like the
there.
games, the movies, and the little things like that, they can still.
Correct.
Okay, perfect. So I'm with the 55 with those slight
Just,
comments.
if I may,
Yes.
when you were giving the presentation, I saw that, at least for lunch, those that are disabled can attend lunch, but they need to be in the presence of a person 55 or above.
They have to
need
live in the same household as the person that's
Right.
over 60.
And spouses the same. They can
Correct.
attend lunch. But I agree, 55, and we can come up, we do need to address the disabled individuals in our community, but right now, we're doing well with this, so.
And then lastly, the scholarship program. So
Before
this
we
is-
go
sorry.
to that, I know, I just had a couple little suggestions for programming. Since I didn't get to talk in the beginning, we kind of went into a different track. Because I do work with seniors every day, some of the things that they've been doing, planting and gardening, but like in a pot. They get to paint the pot, and then you get some soil, and then they get to plant their pot. So they get a painting class, a planting class, and they get to take it home. It has been a huge hit, and it takes a few classes to get it to finish. It gets them coming back. Line dancing we just did. I know cooking has been great for you, but Meals on Wheels Mount Diablo does offer ESL classes for free. They do them at my place, and then they actually have a little graduation for them, and it is at no charge. So just a couple suggestions that I've incorporated recently. Yeah, and then we can go on to the scholarship. I'm
So
sorry,
again-
Councilmember Williams, you had your button pushed. Are you scholarship or suggestions?
No, I mean, since you jumped ahead and we're doing suggestions, I thought.
I still have a public speaker card too.
Yes, yes. Yes, so I did have some follow-up questions regarding, I know the feedback, the only negative feedback I've gotten is there are so many seniors who are still having to work. So at what point are we going to look at expanding the hours? Because right now, a lot can't participate who want to, so.
So we have several evening classes. So, on Mondays, we have the square dancing class. There's potential we add something different in there, especially to replace like Movie Mondays. We have the painting is later in the afternoon, not evening, but later in the afternoon. We have pickleball that we've added in the evening. So we are looking at that. But every time we add an evening class, that's additional funding to staff that. So we're trying to find ways that we already have staff there for other things. Maybe it's us, and this is just talking out loud, maybe it's us looking at, right now we staff Studio 55 from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. And to be honest, there's hardly anybody in the building. So maybe it's, us looking at reallocating staff to do some more evening classes versus having a staff member in Studio 55 for the entire day. That doesn't mean Studio 55 is closed. That just means that, from 9 to 2, you're welcome in there, but there's not gonna be a staff member to make the coffee and, do all of those things. And so it's all things we need to look at. We've also looked at, kind of like electronic check-ins, because that's the biggest thing right now is checking people in. And we have a lot of requirements from the county when it comes to the lunch program on the paperwork that has to be done. So I have to have staff there to do all of that. But we have looked at, like an electronic check-in system where they can swipe their badge and it checks them in without a staff member needing to do that. So again, it's been 3 months. We're looking at all of the things. I don't see us expanding tremendously right now into the evenings, but it is always in the back of our mind because we do have those working members who do want something in that evening hours. So it's not lost on us. We know that's there, and we keep that there, and hopefully we can come up with that balance where it doesn't cost us more money, but we can still receive the benefit.
And then I know when we were first rolling it out, we were talking about like having a suggestion box and stuff. Have you been doing that? Have you sort of gotten a pulse of what the comments are mostly?
We have a suggestion box. It's been there since the ribbon cutting, and we've maybe gotten 4 cards total. Most of the time, I get those suggestions when I show up for lunch on Wednesdays, or Troy gets them throughout the week. Many of them don't want to put it on the paper. We encourage it. Don't forget the mailbox, but we do get the suggestions. A lot of the suggestions that we have received in writing revolve around the food and the menu. You know, we want fresh fruit, not canned fruit. We want, and those are just things we can't control. And so pickleball was, I believe, one of the suggestions to open it, and so we were able to do that without adding cost. So we haven't received, you know, a ton of overwhelming suggestions that, you know, maybe we haven't thought of, or maybe that we're already in the works. But we're working on it, and we are there. We try and be there as much as we can to talk with the residents that are showing up and finding out what they want.
And then last question. I know you've posted, everybody's posted about Studio 55 a million times. I've seen it all over social media and all that stuff, but I still have, you know, neighbors who are like, oh, I don't know anything about this. So I don't even know if there's a way to do it, but is there a way to do some more like targeted advertising to like the places where folks are likely to go?
Yeah, I know.
Like,
a
are we
lot of
putting
it's
stuff
word
up
of
at Carol
mouth.
Lane?
Yeah.
Or like, are we doing all that?
I know a lot of it's word of mouth. I know senior communities that we have sent flyers. We've had members that actually come and say, can I take flyers back, because they don't know about this. You know, just last week, or 2 weeks ago, we had a couple who was on their walk and finally decided to come over and see what it was all about, and then realized, oh, and they're showing up to pickleball and lunches every day. And so I think a lot of it is word of mouth. And then once we have their information, we're able to communicate so much more clearly with them, because we can send emails directly to them or texts. So yeah.
All right, we can go on to the part you wanted to go on to. Sorry.
That's okay. So the scholarship program, this is still in kind of the beginning works. I just wanted to kind of get it out there that we would like to offer a scholarship program for those who maybe can't afford to do a class or pay for the senior programming. And so we would have a form that allowed people to fill out a form. If they meet the income requirements, they would be able to have one of those classes waived. We talked about a dollar amount versus a class, but that makes it really, really hard because, you know, one class might be $70, another class might be $150, and if we're only offering 100, it limits the classes they're allowed to take. So we wanted to just do it for, they can choose a single program, whether it's a kids program or a senior program. The senior program obviously would just be the membership fee, and they can have that fee waived for the year.
All right, any thoughts on that?
No, I think it's great. I know when we did this for ARPA funding for camps and stuff like that, it was one of the most popular things. So I think we have a lot of room if we're able to do that, right? Like if you think how many people, if it's one class, I think we can get a lot of people through the program, much more impactful than even a camp, right? Because that's a bigger dollar
Correct,
amount.
it could be a camp.
It could be a camp too, yeah. I just think that this is a great benefit, and since we were talking about prorating, and I mean residents versus non-residents, I mean it kind of goes without saying this would only be for Oakley residents, right?
That is correct. I think it says in there we would, proof of income and residency, yes.
Okay.
Councilmember Meadows,
I'm supportive of a scholarship program.
Vice Mayor Henderson,
Also supportive.
super supportive over here. Councilmember Fuller,
I support it as it is, whatever that may be.
all right. I want to take a moment just to get the public comment card. Was that the last?
That's it.
Yay. Okay, so let's go ahead and get our public comment card. Allison?
Hello. I wanted to address the residency question, and actually, when I heard about the double fee, I regretted I was from Antioch. But I mean, it was a little embarrassing. But anyways, I have family that live in Oakley. I eat in Oakley restaurants, as do many of we're neighbors, right? And I don't know if you're familiar with J.R. Wilson. He's a veteran. He works for Washington, D.C., and he's in charge of the stand down. And one of his most famous comments is that community is not just supposed to be where you are and where you live. That's your neighborhood. Your community expands and grows. So I like to think that I am a part of your community, not because I live in Antioch, but because I live in this area. I care about the people. I have family here. I shop here. I've gone to church here. So, of course, I don't mind paying an extra fee if that's the way you're going to go, but just the way it sounded, we have regional problems. We have regional challenges, and we also have regional strengths. And so I just wanted to say that. And then also for the people working on the sewing and the bags, they're not just going to Oakley veterans or Oakley children or something like that. They're going to veterans for the whole Bay Area. And I also, Snug as a Bug Bags is supported from people from Tracy, San Diego, from people all over, because they care about our kids in general. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, we are going to have a closed session item, and after that, we will be coming back and the meeting will be adjourned. In the closed session is conference with real property negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8, property 3650, 3660 Main Street, Oakley. And agency negotiators, Joshua McMurray, city manager, negotiating party, Celine Simon, TR Commercial, under negotiation price and terms of payment. Thank you all for coming out and look forward to seeing you in September.